Communications Office. I'd also like just to remind those of us who are participating on Zoom of just a brief summary of the protocols about using Zoom. First of all, for this meeting, the chat text facility on Zoom is disabled, as indeed it is for all formal meetings of the council. And you should ensure that you remain on mute for the duration of the meeting, unless you are called by myself as chair to speak. If you do wish to speak, you may use the request on your Zoom screen, or you may simply raise your hand quite prominently and we'll try to address it that way. We will move quite slowly and steadily because we know that some of you aren't as familiar as others with how Zoom is used. Could you please remember that you are constantly in close-up view and obviously behave accordingly, and try not to move away from your screen unless it's absolutely necessary. It is preferable that you can be both seen and heard, but absolutely vital that you can be heard. We recommend that there's no text communication between members of the committee during the meeting. I'd also like to say that we're not sure how long the meeting will last, and we're obviously going to need some comfort breaks and coffee breaks. So I will be announcing those as we go along at appropriate intervals, and if necessary, a short break for lunch. So as I said, we will proceed slowly and steadily through the agenda. So we come to the main agenda of the meeting, point 1, apologies for absence. And we have an apology from John Armstrong, who is a newly appointed member of the committee and has had no experience yet of participating in the committee or of this particular, of the main issue of this agenda. And he has asked to be, to give his apologies for his absence for that reason. I have no announcements of any urgent business unless anyone else has any to raise. The declarations of interest report was attached to the documents that went out, and those are available for all of you. Now we come to the minutes of the previous meetings that the committee has held on the 27th of January 2020.
Chair, sorry to interrupt.
Yes?
We've just had a request to pause the meeting. I think there's a problem with YouTube. So
okay.
I think it might have just been verified. It is up now. Thank you, John.
That's fine. So we're okay to continue. Thank you.
Okay, right. So as I was saying, we have minutes to check and approve from our last 2 meetings of the Standards Committee on the 27th of January 2020 and the 13th of March 2020. Those have been sent out in the packs. I hope you've had a chance to look at them. Francis, I'm aware that you may have a question about the minutes, and we will deal with that under the procedures in due course.
Thank you.
May I just ask you, is that for the minutes of the 27th of January? Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted
without saying exactly what the issue is it for the minutes of the 27th of January?
It's a reference to the content of the minutes, that the exempt minutes that I hadn't seen until quite recently.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll take that under the preliminary procedures.
Thank you.
The 13th of March minutes. Any queries on those? In that case, Gurdeep will send me in due course a copy, I believe, of the minutes to sign. And if there are any amendments to be made to the 27th of January, we'll include that in those copies. Now we move to the start of the hearing itself. And I would like first to ask everyone to introduce themselves and explain their role. And I'll begin with me, and then I'll name each of you in turn as you're taken off mute. I'm Susan Blackwell. I'm the chair of the Standards Committee. I'm an independent member of the committee, and I'm a non-voting member of the committee. I think perhaps we'll introduce the officers first. Nasser, would you please explain who you are?
Hi, my name is Nasir Ali. I'm a corporate governance officer and the technical host for the Standards Committee.
Thank you. And Gurdeep?
I'm Gurdeep Semi. I'm corporate governance manager, and I'm clerking this meeting today.
And John?
Thank you, Chair. I'm John Scarborough, the Director of Legal Services for the Council and the Monitoring Officer.
Thank you. And now we'll go to the members of the committee. Angela.
I'm Councillor Angela Cornforth, and I'm the Chief Whip of the Royal Borough of Greenwich.
Thank you. And Nigel.
I'm Councillor Nigel Fletcher. I'm the Leader of the Opposition and the Leader of the Conservative Group on the Council.
And Denise.
I'm Councillor Denise Scott MacDonald, and I'm the Deputy Leader of the Royal Borough of Greenwich Council.
And Jim.
I'm Professor Jim Emerson, and I'm the independent person appointed to advise the Standards Committee.
And not to forget Debbie Warren. Apologies, Debbie. Everyone's in a funny place on the screen.
No problem. I'm Debbie Warren. I'm the Council's Chief Executive, and I'm not a member of the panel.
Thank you. And Simon.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Simon Goacher. I'm a partner in Wakeman's law firm, and I carried out the investigation on behalf of the Chief Executive.
Thank you. Frances.
Hi, everybody. I'm Frances Randall. I'm a solicitor representing Councillor Anne-Marie Cousins today.
And Anne-Marie.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Anne-Marie.
Thank you very much. Now, before we go into the preliminary procedural issues, I'd like to say that this section refers to the overall hearing, and on the advice of the monitoring officer, I'm minded to recommend to the committee that the preliminary procedures are considered in private. And I'd like to ask John to explain why we should be considering these issues in private. John.
Thank you, Chair. Frances Randall and myself have been in correspondence leading up to the hearing, and certainly from the information I know about the queries that Frances is going to raise, I'm satisfied that they will involve the discussion of exempt information. And therefore my advice to the committee would obviously be that the discussion about the preliminary items themselves takes place in exempt session.
Thank you. Frances, without giving any details of the issues, do you have representations to make under the preliminary procedures? It's
do.
just a yes or no question, really.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. That's fine. You don't need to go into detail now. I think I am therefore still minded to recommend that the committee considers these items in private and ask the committee, that is the voting members of the committee, to vote on the following words. That the committee resolves that pursuant to Section 100 of the Local Government Act 1972 and the Local Government Access to Information Variation Order 2006, the public be excluded from the meeting on the grounds that this item may involve the disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 1, Schedule 12A of the Act, information relating to any individual. And it is in the public interest to consider this section of the meeting in private. Do the councillors, the voting councillors on the committee agree to this? If so, please just raise your hand. Thank you. The committee therefore has agreed, and therefore those of you who are observing on YouTube, the meeting will be streamed again after the preliminary issues have been considered. And I ask the host now to switch off YouTube and wait, and I will wait for his confirmation that this has been done.